I'm Charles Jones. I've worked at Summit for 5 years. We're here at my farm in Wisconsin in southwestern Barron County. We're right between the towns of Turtle Lake, Prairie Farm, and Almena, if you know where that is. Pretty far north. It's northern gardening, to be sure. I grew up on this farm during the summers in the 1970s, and my brother and I own the farm, have owned the farm since about 2002. We grow all kinds of organic vegetables, sell them to restaurants, sell them to people at the farmers market, and we run a very small CSA as well with about 15 people. My brother and I have been gardening for 40 years at least.
Yuga.
Hi, I'm Nate Siats. I'm a brewer for Summit Brewing Company, and I'm brewing the next Unchained beer, which is going to be an Imperial Pumpkin Porter. I decided I wanted to do an Imperial Pumpkin Porter. I wanted to do a beer for the season, for the harvest season of fall and last through the holidays. I really enjoy drinking dark, strong beers, Old English style porters, dark, strong stouts, but I also really like drinking pumpkin spice beers in the fall time too. So I kind of came up with a hybrid creation combining those two beers together. So it's going to be a dark, strong porter with pumpkin pie spices.
The pumpkins that we're going to be using inside the Imperial Pumpkin Porter are a pumpkin specially grown for making pumpkin pies. They're smaller. They have a netted skin. The variety is called Ashabel. It's an old heirloom variety that comes from an old Revolutionary War soldier's plot from the 18th century. It's been brought across the country ever so slowly by people who just wanted to keep that very rare strain of pumpkin alive, and we happen to have it here in Wisconsin. Growing pumpkins this far north is fairly difficult. You cannot be guaranteed of having a crop every year, but this year we had a warm, wet growing season. The pumpkins loved it, and we're going to have enough for the Imperial Porter, Pumpkin Porter.
So the pumpkins that we're going to be using in my beer are going to be put into the mash tun. I'm going to cut the tops and the bottoms off, gut them out, and chop them up into little pieces, and then we'll put them in during the 68-degree rest in the mash. So when the starches and the malt are starting to convert, we're going to throw the pumpkin chunks in, and it'll start to degrade the gourd material of the pumpkin themselves. So by the time we mash off into the lauter tun, they're just going to be completely dissolved. When I think of, drinking beer and the social aspect, the holiday times, getting together with all my cousins and family members, we can sit around and have a good beer and be able to talk about anything. And Summit itself is a very family-oriented company, but being able to share it with all of our extended family members too, was really kind of an inspiration of mine behind designing this beer.
I should say, Nate, I've got to give a lot of credit to my brother here, because my brother's really the guy he's the pumpkin man. I helped, but my brother, who's a plant pathologist,
oh, okay,
he's the guy who knew how to pick the variety and who knew how to cultivate them, and he's the guy who's really responsible for making sure that those are there.
So we better make sure he gets a six-pack.
That's a great idea. Yeah. I'm sure he'll appreciate that.